Welcome back to another episode of DTV, the Digital Transformation Channel. My name is Layla Medeiros. I am the CMO of InfoStretch, and we are pleased to bring you today Charles Ramsey, partner of InfoStretch and CEO of Sauce Labs. Welcome to DTV, Charles.
Thank you very much. Glad to be here.
Great to have you. So, Charles, you have had a wealth of experience in the technology world, all the way from infrastructure to software, and now you are the CEO of Sauce Labs and have been for several years. So tell us a little bit about what Sauce Labs does. What are some of your key value propositions?
Yeah, so what Sauce Labs does is it automates and enables high-speed continuous testing as a cloud service. So our customers are mobile and web app developers, and what they are trying to do is automate and improve the efficiency of their team's ability to test, which has traditionally been a real constraint. And so we enable them to do that as a service in the cloud in high parallelism and very fast. Generally, what we find with our customers, our more successful customers, is that they use us both for web app and for mobile. And we've taken a position that you should have the ability to do web app and mobile as a virtual service, and then rely on real devices when you are looking to have very high fidelity for the final parts of your testing.
Right.
So a large software company here that I won't name does 300,000 tests a day on our infrastructure to test iOS or Android devices depending upon where they are in their process.
Right.
So you can't do that on real devices, but when they get to the point in their testing cycle where it's really important that they know that every bit is where it's supposed to be, they can use a real device.
Yeah, and I think a lot of companies don't recognize or understand the importance of testing, especially now. I'd love to get your take on digital transformation. Digital has been around forever, and now it seems like a lot of organizations across a variety of industries are talking about transforming digitally. So I'd love to get your take as Charles Ramsey, not as the CEO of Sauce Labs, but as a technical expert on what is the definition to you of digital transformation as it stands.
In today's world,
Yeah.
everything that is communicated towards us, almost everything, is communicated on a digital device of one sort or another. And companies recognize that their competitiveness is based on their ability to do just that. And so if they have a vehicle that isn't working appropriately, if there's a problem with it, they're going to lose customers. And so the transformation of business to digital really is about the transformation of business altogether.
Right.
And everybody's in the software business, everybody says that, but it's so true. And in the world that I live in, we see that really manifesting itself where, I've been doing software stuff for years.
Right.
And I get invited to meet with executives at companies that never would have seen me before if it weren't the fact that they were confronted with a very major problem that they were trying to work through.
Right. And going back to the world that you live in and at Sauce Labs and testing, how has that impacted that particular space when it comes to some of the customers that you're working with or some of the companies that you're talking to right now in terms of their pain points or some of the top priorities that they have?
So testing has traditionally been a constraint. If I have a deployment pipeline, what I'm trying to do is get code from inception out to the user as quickly as I can.
Right.
And in the middle of that, you have to go through this testing process that is really painful.
Right.
And people don't want to do it. But they recognize that if they don't and they deliver product that is flawed, they're going to pay the consequences, both in terms of customer satisfaction and in terms of having to pull it back and fix it, which is very expensive. So we're a constraint. Testing is a constraint. What we do is automate that process and make it significantly more efficient. Everybody's looking for efficiencies, and so we fit that bill.
I actually used to work in testing many moons ago in mobile testing, and at that time, Painful, yes. But at that time, it seemed that the pain points were, fragmentation and the multitude of devices and operating systems and platforms that developers had to test on. It seems that still continues to be a challenge. Has anything else become more prominent, or is that really been a primary pain point for them?
Still very painful.
And manual and graduating from manual to automation and so on and so forth.
So one of the things that we do, as I mentioned, is use emulation and simulation to help automate for portions of the testing cycle,
right.
Pieces of it. Then when you get to the very end where you need to have device and operating system specific testing, then you can go to using real devices. But if you've automated parts of that testing cycle where you can do it at very high speed, you get through the lion's share of it, and then you don't have as much of that really specific testing to do.
Right. And there's been some excitement around the space recently, some consolidation, companies like QA Symphony, companies like Zephyr. Is there anything in particular happening now? Are big companies interested in bringing testing into their own operations, or anything that you may have observed, or do you have any perspective on that?
Yeah, I have a lot of perspective on that. I don't think it's quite so much that they want to bring it into their own shops. I think what's happening is that testing is now seen as critical.
Right.
Really important.
Right.
2 years ago, when I was out raising capital,
yeah,
people did not really have a high degree of interest in talking to us.
Yeah.
Today, I get 5 or 6 inbounds from VCs a week. And that's because they want to invest in an area that is seen as very important.
Right.
Testing is being given its due. It's a
right.
very important space.
Right.
So consolidation in the market occurs when companies realize there's opportunity for growth and leverage.
So InfoStretch is very pleased to be a partner of Sauce Labs. We've worked together in the open source community. And, speaking of open source, how important is our open source frameworks like Appium and Selenium when it comes to enterprises, and why?
What has happened is that there's a realization that proprietary tools lock customers in.
Right.
And they no longer are willing to accept that. Furthermore, increasingly, it's the engineers themselves that are making the selection process, and they love open source tools.
Right.
And so open source is just a vehicle that enables customers to retain control and add value back into a community that's growing with them.
Right.
And so we came out of the open source world. One of our founders created Selenium when he was at Google, and then came out and open sourced it.
Right.
And so that's our roots, and we really believe in it, and we think our customers do too. It's been a transition for enterprise to feel comfortable with open source, and with today's environment, they recognize that it's absolutely in their best interest.
Right. So initially, maybe there were some concerns around, security or the enterprise
security and
world.
Control.
Right.
Security and control. They now recognize one of the best benefits is if they want to make a change.
Right.
Especially with us as a SaaS service, they can make a change.
Right.
So we have to be absolutely focused on them and making sure that they're getting best use of the product so that they don't make a change.
And are there any key differences between testing on open source versus traditional that you might be able to shed some light on?
Traditional legacy platforms were focused on waterfall development.
Okay.
Where you spent a long time up front figuring out what it was you were going to write. Then you wrote the code for 6 months. Then you gave it to a QA team. And then they came back and handed it back to engineering. And it went in a cycle like that. Today's world, the engineers are writing, in our best customers, and at Sauce Labs, they're writing the code.
Right.
They're writing the test.
Right.
They're running the test. And they do it in a process very rapidly all day long. So that is the modern, agile CI/CD platform way to develop and test simultaneously.
And it gives them a lot more flexibility when it comes to working within an open source environment.
They can move much faster.
They can move much faster, yeah. What we're seeing a lot today is the need for more automation and also AI. Is that Is that something that you're seeing as part of the testing cycle now or in the near future?
The answer is absolutely.
Yes. Now, as opposed to the near future?
Both.
Okay.
Everybody's in the AI business today. And
Right.
so what we are trying to do is be very thoughtful about where we're going to apply those kinds of technologies to help our customers solve the problems that they're dealing with.
Right.
One of the advantages that we know that we have at Sauce Labs is we've done over 2 billion tests. We're doing 2 million tests a day. And all of that metadata we have, using that metadata to do the right kinds of things to help our customers analyze where they're having problems and resolve them with speed is what we are focused on.
So you're consistently becoming more and more intelligent the more
Yes.
tests you do.
Yes.
Yeah.
So we don't have an AI product in the market today,
You don't. Okay.
but we are working on it today.
Right.
And we want to be able to deliver something that's going to be of real significant value to our customers. And it's all about removing the constraint that testing is.
So anything else that you think would be important to shed light on when it comes to this new digital storm and testing being a key part of it in order to keep up?
Yeah, one of the reasons that we're talking to InfoStretch today is because we are in the early stages of an evolution, and a lot of our customers and prospects are dealing with both organizational and technological change that brings them up to the ability to have an agile development process.
Right.
And working with you guys gives us the opportunity to have a partner that helps our customers be successful. This is really hard stuff, and it really changes a lot, and so we're thankful to have this opportunity to work with you guys.
Excellent. We're very excited to work with you as well. Great. Well, this concludes our episode of DTV, and if you're interested in digital transformation and want to come on our show, please email us at dtv@infostretch.com. We would be happy to have you.